This Gloria Steinem-centered scene of Mrs. America opens with a succession that is amusing, exciting, and, maybe accidentally, a metacritique on this arrangement all in all. While starting to think about how to counter the influx of state approvals of the Equivalent Rights Alteration, Phyllis Schlafly, a lady so concerned that she sits up while wearing a skirt and her Wilma Flintstone updo, discloses to her better half Fred that women's activists are not anticipating any composed restriction. The other thing you have going for you is that nobody likes women's activists, splits Fred. Not by any means dissidents. Phyllis has a laugh at that point, reacts, by means of an extraordinary, amusing Cate Blanchett line conveyance, gracious, that is so obvious. They're unpleasant. The scene, coordinated, similar to the first, by Anna Boden and Speck, quickly slices to symbolism of Steinem, Rose Byrne, looking all 70s lovely as she heads to an occasion at the Guggenheim. She is with her attractive beau, Shaky Ellis. Picture takers are snapping her image. The invigorating funk of Shrewd and the Family Stone's I Need to Take You Higher plays on the soundtrack. No doubt. Women's activists. They sure don't have the foggiest idea how to make some great memories. Notwithstanding demonstrating the difference among Schlafly and Steinem, this next snap of a progress likewise addresses the idea that a show this way about the occasions that happened during a huge period in ladies' history could be seen as something dry, dull, or instructive. In any case, Mrs. America isn't any of those things. It's an incredibly engaging dramatization that additionally has profundity and a splendidly considered feeling of structure. That structure comes into more keen concentration right now, which affirms that maker Davy Waller will focus in on an alternate figure in the women's activist development in every portion while as yet tending to more extensive topics and characters. The more extensive topic right now, the confusing scene that numerous ladies must explore, between being esteemed for characteristically female reasons as opposed to being paid attention to for their substance. That is unquestionably an issue for Steinem, a rising star in the media world who is seen as the pretty face of the women's activist development. Be that as it may, notwithstanding her clout, isn't constantly managed regard. We see that in the quarrel among her and Betty Friedan, who launches that contention by saying about Steinem in a discourse, the media attempted to make her a superstar, yet nobody should confuse her with a pioneer. When Steinem is later situated close to her on a plane, Friedan attempts to apologize. "I was misquoted," she says. As played with monstrous grandiosity by the incredible Tracey Ullman, Friedan is a lady who can't keep her mouth shut, ever, which implies it's unavoidable that a foot will end up in there. She unquestionably wasn't misquoted. Steinem doesn't really trust her, yet she acknowledges the conciliatory sentiment. She has scholarly, as such huge numbers of ladies win her, that pushing ahead methods making settles. For instance, she's the supervisor of Ms. Magazine, yet she despite everything needs to manage pushback from a sexist distributor when she needs to put presidential competitor Shirley Chisholm on the front of the principal official issue. It gets evident later in the scene that Gloria surrendered. The spread, rather broadly, ends up with Marvel Lady on it, in spite of the fact that the genuine story behind that has all the more a female power twisted to it. During discussions with Representative George McGovern about voicing support for premature birth rights, Gloria attempts a milder touch than the heavy-handed contrivance that is Betty Friedan. She proposes he voice support at the popularity-based show for conceptive opportunity, which sounds more pleasant and increasingly comprehensive. As Bella Abzug, who sees the upsides of Gloria's impact and furthermore of not requesting excessively, includes, that incorporates men just as ladies. It despite everything doesn't go anyplace. Balance that with Phyllis Schlafly, who doesn't have the distinction or associations that Gloria has, yet will not water down her message. At the point when she makes a candid enemy of equivalent rights revision appearance on the Phil Donahue show, the host is persuaded she should fake it until he addresses her after the show, when she coolly makes reference to that section of the time could prompt the destruction of the young lady scouts and unisex restrooms. Before you know it, we are living in a women's activist extremist bad dream, she says unassumingly, while Phil Donahue lifts his jaw up off the floor and understands she's not faking by any means. Like a bizarro Bella Abzug, Phyllis likewise understands that utilizing certain female abilities furthering her potential benefit could be the most clear way toward getting what she needs. Which is the reason Phyllis leads her from the bread makers to the providers crusade, in which she and her housewife companions give Illinois administrators natively constructed heated products, looping the wheels to get the no votes on endorsement that they need. This is a complete Tracy Flick move. Need to excel in governmental issues? Give them cupcakes. Is that everything necessary to get a man to change his vote? Gloria asks, distrustfully. Well, Bella answers, with all the dryness that Margot Martindale can marshal, which is a ton, there was additionally jam. There was additionally something different, the way that male officials urgently need some proof that casting a ballot against the period won't be what could be compared to excusing a whole sex. When Phyllis and her team waltz in with buns directly from their stoves, they give, in a greater number of ways than one. The issue, clearly, is that Phyllis is building a development dependent on lies and insane misrepresentation, which is only one of the manners by which this scene of Mrs. America hits home that resounds with contemporary legislative issues. A female associate to an individual from the Illinois lawmaking body faces Phyllis with this inquiry: when you go on Donahue, do you realize what you're stating has no premise, truth be told, or do you just not comprehend what the heck, no doubt about it? Lift your hand in the event that you pose this inquiry on numerous occasions a day. Phyllis gets no kudos for rambling arguments that she hasn't tried to all the more intently look at herself. She gets some acknowledgement for, following this showdown, attempting to do the exploration to comprehend the legitimate premise behind a portion of the traditionalist contentions she's been making, despite the fact that she needs to approach her better half for help. Gloria, then again, has feelings that she has deliberately thought of and that are established from a profound perspective of the individual. The scene in the end uncovers, by means of flashback, that she had an unlawful premature birth at 22, which clarifies why she feels so firmly about putting an ace decision board in the just party stage. So does her discussion with a Ms. Peruser who likewise had an illicit fetus removal and stays shaken by the savagery of the experience. Gloria at long last contends emphatically for that board when she explodes during a gathering of key figures in the National Ladies' Political Council. It's the large, climactic snapshot of the scene, and it gives Byrne, who gets Steinem's cool, calm certain tone perfectly in each other scene, the opportunity to at long last show us a Gloria Steinem with her volume wrenched to a more elevated level. To what extent do we offer individuals to adjust to transform, she asks Bella. Or on the other hand, am I the one in particular who's so screwing burnt out on pausing? These are similar inquiries that dynamic Democrats have been posing to this political decision season when they're told, for instance, that campaigning for all-inclusive human services is driving excessively hard and excessively far. This is one of the numerous minutes in Mrs. America that reminds us this nation hasn't moved all that a long way from where it was just about 50 years back. Which is discouraging. In any case, the Gloria scene finishes on a to some degree idealistic note when Gloria Tap moves over to Bella's She Truly Was a Tapper, coincidentally to the tune of the Crimps This Time Tomorrow, to disclose to her she will be the representative for the period development at the show. Be that as it may, she has a condition: they should constrain a decision on fetus removal on the show floor. Gloria Steinem is accustomed to making concessions. Presently she's beginning to make sense of, possibly, how to use her capacity. To put it another way, she consents to give the bread. However, she requests that Bella make good the jam. Fuck better believe it, woman's rights snapshot of the scene, it's unquestionably the second when Gloria gives that discourse. What number of more ladies are going to bite the dust from bungled premature births while we trust that men will feel good with us having command over our own bodies, she inquires. What number of ladies will be compelled to bring forth pampers they can't stand to take care of while we hang tight for housewives, who have no clue what it resembles to need to work to make do, to feel good with ladies having power? These, as well, are questions that are as yet applicable in 2020.